For my daughter's 7th birthday, we arrived and there was a cake, balloons, and a big banner that said, "Congratulations, Martine." My sister had taken over the party and made it for her son. I didn't say a word. I just did what I had to do. 2 weeks later, she was crying and her son was expelled from school. My name is Santiago, and I'm a single father to Sophia, my 7-year-old daughter. 2 years ago, my wife, Clara, died of cancer, and since then, I've been juggling to raise Sophie alone. I work as an accountant at a tech company, which means long hours and little time to breathe. But Sophia is my world. Her smile keeps me going. Her 7th birthday was just around the corner, and I want it to be a special day. Something to lift the sadness that sometimes creeps into her eyes when she remembers her mom. Work had me swamped with deadlines and meetings, so I didn't have time to plan anything. I thought of my sister, Laura. We haven't been close since Clara's passing. She always seems to judge me, as if I'm not enough as a father. But Laura always boasts about being great at organizing events. So I called her. "Laura, I need a favor," I said over the phone. "I can't organize Sophia's party. Can you handle it? I'll give you my card for expenses, but make it special for her." "Relax, Santiago," she replied in that tone of hers, as if she were doing me the favor of the century. "I've got this. It'll be amazing." I gave her clear instructions: a princess-themed pink balloons, a vanilla cake with strawberries, and a banner that said, "Happy Birthday, Sophia." I emailed her my card details, making it clear it was only for the party. I thought I could trust her. She's my sister. After all, the birthday arrived a Saturday morning. Sophia was thrilled, wearing her favorite blue dress, one Clara bought her before she got sick. She wouldn't stop talking about the party as we drove to Laura's house. I was excited too, though I had an odd feeling. I wanted Sophia to have a perfect day. We arrived at 3 p.m. From outside, I saw balloons and a table with sweets in the garden. This looks good, I thought. Sophia practically ran to the entrance, pulling my hand. But when we walked in, everything fell apart. In the living room was a huge banner. "Congratulations, Martine." Martine, Laura's 9-year-old son, who plays soccer. The room was decorated with his team stuff, trophies, pennants, photos of him in his uniform. In the center was a giant cake with a soccer ball. In a corner, almost hidden, was a small table with 2 pink balloons and a tiny cake with a single candle. That was all for Sophia. "Papa, where's my party?" Sophia asked, her voice trembling, her eyes filled with tears. I didn't know what to say. I felt a rage burning in my chest. Laura came out of the kitchen, smiling, with Martine by her side, holding a trophy. "Santiago, Sophia, you're here," she said as if everything were normal. "We're celebrating Martine's championship. He won the kids' league." I looked at Sophia. She was still, staring at the floor, clutching the hem of her dress. I wanted to scream, but held back for her sake. "Laura, what is this?" I said, "Try not to lose in front of the other guests, who were mostly Martine's friends. I asked you for a party for Sophia. I gave you my card for that." "Oh, Santiago, don't be dramatic," she replied, rolling her eyes. "I did something for Sophia. Her cake is right there. But Martine deserved this. Winning a championship is a big deal." I wanted to argue, but I saw Sophia sitting alone in the corner, staring at her tiny cake. I couldn't make a scene. I put a hand on her shoulder. "Let's go home, my love," I said softly. "We'll do something special, just you and me." She nodded without looking at me, and we left. In the car, she didn't say a word, just stared out the window with tears rolling down her cheeks. That night, I checked my bank account. Laura had spent $3,000, $3,000 on a party for Martine. The cake, balloons, banner, a soccer ball, jugger entertainer. Sophia's party wasn't worth even $20. I called Laura the next day, furious but trying to stay calm. "Laura, you spent $3,000 of my money on a party for Martine," I said. "I asked for one thing. "Santiago, don't be dramatic," she replied, laughing. "I did something for Sophia. Martine deserved that party. You don't understand what it's like to raise a talented kid. It was my daughter's birthday." I shouted, "Give me my money back." Are you crazy? She said. I don't owe you anything. Don't ask for favors and then act like this. I hung up. I couldn't keep talking to her. That night, I filed a dispute for unauthorized charges with the bank. It wasn't easy. Laura's my sister, but what she did was wrong. The bank said they'd investigate, but it would take time. Days later, Laura called me, furious. The bank forced her to return the money to avoid legal trouble. She didn't apologize. She called me selfish, said I was obsessed with Sophia because of Clara, that I didn't value Martine's efforts. Don't worry, she said before hanging up. This isn't over. I thought they were empty words, just her pride talking, but things got worse. A few days later, Sophia came home from school crying. Her cheek was red, as if someone had hit her. My heart stopped. What happened, my love? I asked, kneeling in front of her. She didn't answer, just kept crying, hugging me tightly. I tried to calm her, but she wouldn't speak. I checked her. No bruises, just a redness on her face. I took her to her room, gave her water, and waited for her to calm down, but she stayed silent. That night, she didn't sleep well, and neither did I. The next day, I went to the school and spoke with the principal, a serious but kind woman. I told her Sophia came home with a red cheek and crying. I asked them to investigate. We understand your concern, sir, the principal said. We'll talk to the teachers and kids, but we need Sophia to tell us what happened. She won't talk, I replied, frustrated. But something happened. My daughter doesn't cry like that for nothing. They promised to investigate, but it didn't sound convincing. I left the school feeling helpless. I wanted to protect Sophia, but didn't know how. That night, I tried talking to her again. My love, I know you're sad, I said, sitting on her bed, but I need you to tell me what happened. I can't help you if I don't know. She just shook her head and curled up against me. I didn't push, but I couldn't stop thinking about that red cheek. Something wasn't right. A couple days later, I thought things might improve, but then Sophia came home crying again, this time with a piece of paper taped to her back. I pulled it off and read it. Motherless girl. My blood boiled. Who could be so cruel to a 7-year-old? Sophia, who did this? I asked, trying to stay calm. She hesitated, looking at the floor. Then in a small voice, she said, Martine. My mind reeled. Martine, Laura's son, the same kid whose party was paid for with my money. I couldn't believe it, but it all made sense. Laura's attitude, her threat that this wasn't over. I was furious, but needed to stay level-headed. That afternoon, I went to Laura's house. She opened the door with a sarcastic smile. What do you want, Santiago? She said. Your son is bullying Sophia. I said, holding back my anger. She came home crying with a red cheek, and today with a paper on her back that said motherless girl. What's going on, Laura? She laughed like it was a joke. You're exaggerating, she said. Martine's a kid. Kids do stuff like that. So what if he wrote a note? Sophia is sensitive, like you. Since Clara, you see things that aren't there. This isn't a game, Laura. I replied, raising my voice. Your son is hurting my daughter. Do something or I will. What are you going to do? She said, mocking me. Sue a kid? Please, Santiago. Don't be ridiculous. I left, shaking with rage. I couldn't believe my own sister was defending this, but I wasn't going to let it continue. For Sophia, I'd do whatever it took. On the way home, my mind wouldn't stop. Laura wasn't going to discipline Martine. That was clear. Sophia couldn't keep coming home crying with a red cheek or cruel notes on her back. I needed proof. Something the school couldn't ignore. Something to force Laura to face reality. That night, after Sophia fell asleep, I kept thinking. I didn't want this to turn into a family war, but I couldn't let my daughter suffer anymore. A friend from work once told me, record everything. It always works. I decided that's what I'd do. If Martine was bullying Sophia, I'd catch him in the act. The next morning, before Sophia went to school, I spoke to her carefully. My love, if Martine or anyone bothers you, tell me when you get home, okay? I said, stroking her head. I'm with you. She nodded, but her eyes were still sad. I dropped her off at school as usual, but that afternoon, I did something different. I took a couple of hours off work and parked near the school's exit with my phone ready to record. I didn't know what would happen, but I was prepared. When the bell rang, the kids came out. I saw Sophia walking alone, her backpack hanging. Then Martine appeared with two friends, laughing and pointing at her. My pulse raced. I started recording, hiding the phone in the car. Martine walked up to Sophia, said something I couldn't hear, and stuck out his foot. Sophia tripped and fell to her knees, dropping her backpack. The other kids laughed, and Martine stood there, smiling. I wanted to jump out and confront him, but I held back. This was what I needed. Proof. Sophia got up, brushing off her knees, and kept walking. I ran to her, turning off the recording. "Are you okay, my love?" I asked, hugging her. She nodded, tears in her eyes. I drove us home in silence. In my head, the video played on repeat. I was furious, but also relieved. I had something concrete. That night, I reviewed the video. It was clear. Martine had tripped Sophia on purpose. It wasn't a game. It was cruelty. I decided not to confront Laura again. It was pointless. I took the video to the school the next day and requested a meeting with the principal and counselor. "This is happening," I said, showing them the video. "My daughter is being bullied. Do something." The principal watched with a furrowed brow. The counselor, an older man, took notes. "Sir, this is serious," the principal said. "We'll speak with Martine and his parents and investigate if this has happened before. Thank you for this." I left feeling a little less helpless, but not at ease. I knew Laura would be furious, and I wasn't wrong. That afternoon, my phone rang. "What's wrong with you, Santiago?" Laura screamed. "You went to school to accuse Martine? He's a kid. Are you crazy?" "I have a video of your son tripping Sophia on purpose," I replied, holding back my anger. "It's not the first time. She came home with a red cheek, with a note on her back. This isn't You're exaggerating," she said. "Martine's not a monster. Sophia's sensitive like you. Since Clara, you see things that aren't there. That she used Clara to justify her son hurt. But I wasn't falling for her trap. Laura, if you don't do something, I will," I said and hung up. Talking to her was useless. I found a lawyer, a friend of a colleague who knew about family cases. I told him everything. The party, the $3,000, Martine's bullying. I showed him the video and the messages where Laura admitted to using my card. He said I had a strong case, not just for the money but for the bullying. I could file a complaint against Martine, even though he was a minor, to pressure Laura. "It won't be easy," he said. "She's your sister, and cases with minors are tricky, but with this video, we can make things happen." I decided to move forward. We filed a complaint for bullying, and the school opened an investigation. Meanwhile, I tried to keep Sophia calm. I drove her to and from school every day, making sure she knew she wasn't alone, but she was quieter than usual. I worried this was affecting her more than she showed. One afternoon, while doing homework, I noticed she avoided talking about school. I asked if Martine had bothered her again. "No, Papa," she said, looking at her notebook. "But the other kids look at me weird, like it's my fault." That broke me. My daughter wasn't just dealing with Martine, but with the weight of being singled out. I contacted a child psychologist recommended by the counselor. The first session was tough. Sophia barely spoke. The psychologist said Martine's taunts, especially the motherless girl note, were reopening her grief over Clara. She asked me to be patient, but said Sophia needed to feel safe. The school called Laura and Martine for a disciplinary meeting. I was summoned too. Laura arrived furious, and Martine stared at the floor. The principal explained that, based on the video and other kids' testimonies, Martine had been bullying Sophia for weeks. It wasn't just a tripping. Others confirmed he pushed her at recess and said cruel things about Clara. "This can't continue," the principal told Laura. "Martine will be suspended for 2 weeks and must see the counselor. If this continues, we may expel him." Laura exploded. "This is a witch hunt," she shouted. "Santiago's manipulating everything because he's jealous of Martine. My son isn't a bully." "Ma'am, we have proof. the counselor said, pointing at my phone. And it's not just Sophia. Other kids have reported similar things. Laura glared at me with hatred. Martine didn't say a word. For a second, I felt sorry for him. He was just a kid. But then I remembered Sophia crying, and the pity faded. That night, Laura called me. "You ruined my son's life," she said, her voice shaking. "This isn't over, Santiago. You started this when you used my money for your son and left Sophie aside." I replied, "This is for her." I hung up, but her words weighed on me. A week later, the school called. They found more evidence. Someone turned in a notebook where Martine wrote insults about several classmates, including Sophia. It was cruel, things no child should write. They decided to suspend him indefinitely while making a final decision. Laura showed up at my house that night, crying and screaming. "Look what you've done," she said. "My son's suspended because of you. You're a monster." "Laura, your son hurt my daughter." I replied, exhausted. "This isn't my fault. It's yours for not stopping him." She left, leaving me with a knot in my stomach. Days later, my lawyer called. The authorities had investigated Laura's home after the school's report. They found an unstable environment. Laura had had multiple partners, some of whom didn't treat Martine well. Social services took him to a temporary center while they investigated. I felt bad for Martine. It wasn't his fault to be in a home like that. But my priority was Sophia. I spoke with her psychologist, who said the bullying was affecting her more than she showed. Martine's taunts made her feel Clara's death was her fault, something she'd need time to work through. Laura sought me out one last time, one night with swollen eyes. "You ruined my life, Santiago," she said, "and I'll make sure Sophia never has peace." Her words chilled me. It wasn't an empty threat. It was personal. I spoke with a psychologist who suggested putting distance between Sophia and all this. I started looking for a place to move, a quiet town a few hours away with good schools. I didn't decide that night. I wanted to talk to Sophia, make sure she was ready for such a big change. The only thing certain was that I wouldn't let Laura or Martine hurt her again. That weekend, I sat Sophia on the couch with her favorite hot chocolate. I wanted it to be a calm conversation, not something to scare her more. "My love," I said, looking into her eyes, "I've been thinking it might be good to start fresh somewhere else. A small town with a big park, a new school. What do you think?" She played with her mug, staring at the chocolate. Then she looked up. "Will Martine be there?" she asked in a small voice. "No, my love," I replied. "It'll be a new place. Just for us. You could make new friends, and we'd be away from all this." She nodded slowly. "Can I bring Mama S things?" she said, referring to a box of Clara's photos and keepsakes. "Of course," I said, squeezing her hand. "We'll take everything you want." That gave me the clarity I needed. I spent the next few days searching seriously. I found a town 3 hours away with a small but well-rated school and houses with big yards. There was a park with swings and a lake where people rowed boats. It seemed perfect for Sophia to have a fresh start. I contacted a real estate agent and found a modest house with room for Sophia to have her own bedroom. I also spoke with my boss, who let me work remotely most of the time. Everything was falling into place. Before moving, I took Sophia to one more session with a psychologist. This time, she spoke a bit more. She said she sometimes felt Clara watching her from the sky, but Martine's words made her think Clara didn't love her. The psychologist explained that Sophia needed time to heal, but a change of environment could help. She gave me the contact of a psychologist in the new town to continue sessions. Packing was strange. Each item felt like leaving part of our life behind, but also like opening a new door. Sophia insisted on bringing Clara's box, and I packed some photos of us to hang in the new house. On moving day, Sophia was nervous but excited. In the car, she sang a song Clara used to teach her, and for the first time in weeks, I saw her smile genuinely. We arrived at the town on a Saturday morning. The house was simple, with a small porch and a yard where Sophia could play. The neighbors welcomed us with a tray of cookies, and a girl Sophia's age, Anna, came to introduce herself. The two started talking right away and were soon running around the yard, laughing. Seeing Sophia like that lifted an enormous weight off me. The first week was full of adjustments. I enrolled Sophie in the school, and the town psychologist was a kind woman who connected with her quickly. At school, Sophia made a couple of friends, including Anna, who lived 2 houses down. She started talking more, laughing more. One night at dinner, she said, "Papa, I like it here. No one looks at me weird." That made everything worth it. But not everything was easy. One night, I got an email from Laura. I don't know how she got my new email, but the message was pure venom. She said I destroyed her and Martine's lives, that she'd never forgive me, that she'd find a way to make me pay. It ended with a veiled threat. Sophia won't be okay for long. I blocked her email and didn't respond. I wasn't going to let her hate reach us. I spoke with my lawyer just in case. He said that with the social services investigation ongoing, Laura had enough problems to not stir up more. Martine was still in a temporary center, and though I felt bad for him, I knew he wasn't my responsibility. My priority was Sophia, and she was starting to flourish. At school, Sophia joined an art club, something Clara always wanted her to try. One afternoon, she came home with a drawing of a woman with wings smiling from a cloud. "It's Mama," she said proudly. "I drew her, so she's always with us." I hung it in the living room next to a photo of Clara. That night, Sophia slept with a smile, but I couldn't stop thinking about Laura. Her threats lingered, though I knew she was far away. I decided to bolster security, changed the locks, installed a porch camera, and talked to neighbors to stay alert. I wasn't taking chances. A month later, the psychologist said Sophia was progressing. She talked about Clara without sadness, and the drawing was a sign she was starting to heal. She recommended continuing sessions, but said the change of environment was a success. Sophia still had nightmares occasionally, but they were less frequent. One night, as I tucked her in, she said something that left me speechless. "Papa, thank you for bringing me here," she said. "I feel like Mama is happy to see us like this." I didn't know what to say. I just hugged her and told her I'd always be with her. That night, I slept better than I had in months. Weeks passed, and our life in the town became routine. Sophia went to school, played with Anna, and I worked from home with time to be with her. One afternoon, while walking by the lake, she asked if she could have a dog. Clara always wanted one, but we never had the space. Now, with the yard, it seemed possible. We went to a shelter and adopted a puppy Sophia named Luna. Watching her run with Luna on the grass, laughing, was like a balm. I didn't hear from Laura directly again, but one day my lawyer called. Social services had concluded their investigation. Martine was placed in a foster home with a stable family. Laura lost custody temporarily and was under supervision. I didn't rejoice, but I felt relief. Martine would be better off, and Sophia was safe. Our new life wasn't perfect. Some days, Sophia got quiet, looking at Clara's photo, but there were no more tears of fear, only nostalgia. The psychologist helped us talk about Clara in a way that brought us together, not hurt us. We painted a wall in Sophia's room with stars, like the ones Clara used to point out in the sky. Each night, Sophia picked one and said it was her mom watching her. One day, while cleaning the house, I found Clara's keepsake box. Inside was a letter she wrote to Sophia before she died. I hadn't read it before. It was too painful. But that night, with Sophia by my side, we opened it. Clara wrote about how much she loved her, how she wanted her to be brave and happy. Sophia cried but also smiled. We framed the letter next to the wing drawing. Now, as I write this, Sophia is in the yard with Luna, laughing as they run. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I did the right thing. We left behind the pain, the threats, the birthday. Sophia is healing, and so am I. Clara will be proud.